asking for is, in this case, they took away my rights. I think what's happened is they got hold of my passport a long time ago and they're keeping me lower class, but it's not a fair situation. I've been kept at a disadvantage for such a long time, and every time I'm creating, they're just swooping through my phone and taking it off me and building it before I can get anywhere. So it's a case of like rich people sort of, you know, like blackballing you and like taking away your rights to be something in this world. I'm asking for anybody that's got some sort of platform or has some sort of fame or associations, if you could fundraise or campaign for me or have an OnlyFans page to ask to help me buy citizenship, because Annie sort of took me away from my family and has disadvantaged me completely. Her and John have paid everybody, so they've bought basically my whole life off me, taken away my voice to have a future. And it's not my fault. This isn't my fault. I actually worked for a future. I worked very hard and I didn't really understand what I was up against. To be honest, I was just really focused on my own life. I was focused on going to an after-school jewellery making school, focused on doing creative work and doing a call centre job. And it's all been burnt, and they've burnt all the people, they've burnt all the land in this country, and they're going all over the world to make sure I am kept as an animal. And I'm saying it's all greed and corruption. If you've got any way to fight, it's because these people are doing mining, which is, they're sort of keeping me for an assimilation policy to gain the power and the compassion of the people. They start to watch you, film you illegally, and start to adopt your same sort of characters because they so say they've realized that I'm quite a popular person, so they've been watching me before I even knew. And it's creepy. So they've found out why I'm popular, why anybody would like me, and they've started to erase it from my life by keeping me at a deficit in situations where I'm on survival on the ground with no way to have self-actualization. To be a great human being, you need to have more than food and safety and water. You need love and compassion. You need a sense of belonging. You need intellectual stability, intellectual stimulation and connection, and you also need to have employment, to have a sense of esteem. I don't have these things, and it's not through my own fault. I really tried hard to get a job. Like, I went overboard. They're doing everything to stop me working, and I don't understand why. I know I have to be an activist, and it's really weird, because the heart of me feels like nobody gives a shit in this country anyway. So, because they're paying people left, right and centre, it's like, but I'm asking for compassion, because really I want to fight the narrative that I was an asshole to these people. I was never an asshole. I've had periods where I've been a little bit snippy, but not overall. I've been a good person to people. I've put my neck out for people, like, in trouble. I've not been somebody that really caused a lot of trouble. I've tried to be somebody that gave other people opportunities or helped other people feel like they belonged in my friendship group, or tried to take them and show them. I've really introduced a lot of foreign people to being included in Christchurch and taken them into little tourist spots and really showing them around and showing them what the country's like. Like, I've tried to be a good Samaritan, and I've just been left like in the dark. Nobody wants to tell me anything. For a counsellor, I'm being kept without social workers. They won't give me one. They won't even give me identity theft. I'm being very abused, and it's corruption, because poverty is really stems from crime. There's crime, and minority is also to do with crime. Like, there has to be some sort of human rights abuses. You have to understand if somebody's a minority. There would be no way I'd be on my own. I'm too social. So it's starvation, and I'm asking, if you've got a platform, can you start to understand this is against my rights? They're building associations and blackballing me specifically to make sure I don't get any attention. They're trying to put me under all this debt servitude to make sure that I'm paying all the attention to these girls, that I don't get any access to what I need. They're kind of torturing me out of workplaces, and I'm saying this is an actual vendetta. They seem to just be really going very hard for 7 years, and if you think about the bad things I've done nothing bad. Nothing to deserve this. They're really going hard. They've tortured my genitals, they've hung me up, they're torturing my anus. It's ridiculous. I want my rights to go overseas, and I need your help. I'm asking, can somebody start setting up a GoFundMe page? I want to go overseas and try and get a citizenship, because this Annie basically stole me off my family and started to pay a lot of money to get the visa of Kiki in this country and these girls in this country. So I've just been pushed out with a lot of violence and crime, and she just has too much power to cover it up, and I can't fight it. I'm a vulnerable person, and I'm being kept under hatred that isn't mine to own. I wouldn't do anything that bad to people. I'm not a bad person. Overall, I'm a very good person, you know, but I'm under a set of circumstances that I don't know how to manage. I think it's brought out the worst in me, and they're playing football and they want to keep this up for 30 years, this racial segregation of throwing the stick on my dog face and put me in the toilet, and it's not good enough. Like, at this stage, like, they cannot uphold this moral face if they're going to be doing such immoral ways to get to power. I'm begging for mercy. I'm begging for help, because I don't know how to fight it. They've cut off all my arms, so I don't have social rights, and I've got this major racial discrimination. And what you could actually say in your GoFundMe pages to help me get a new citizenship in a new country is that I've been exploited by corporations that want to keep banking money out of the entrepreneurship of my mother and my businesses and my family's resources, and I've just been left for dead. And I have a lot of skills that are still transferable. I just believe my CV, it seems like it's disconnected, but they're really transferable skills, especially like telecommunications and communications and hospitality. It's all transferable, and within hospitality is cooking. So I've had a lot of cooking in my life, and so this is all natural abilities of mine, but it's not really what I wanted to do with my life. And the art, this has always been my passion. Art's my passion. I really love creative work, because there was a time as a child I witnessed a lot of my mother going through domestic violence and a lot of fighting, and it was a form of escapism for me. And I'm telling you this not to, I don't like how they're sort of making me look like I've got all these issues. I don't. I had no issues. I'd totally healed around about 2012, and then I was just focused on very positive life. I was out hiking every day, focusing on my course, focusing on jobs like nannying and cleaning to get me through my life and my dreams, to work towards my dreams of my education, and I just got my life cut short. And I can't get any loans or anything. I'm being very heavily abused, surveillanced, blackmailed. So I'm appealing for some help from anybody that has any influence to help me get a citizenship overseas, because Annie's already established here and have pushed me out of all of my family and everything, and it's sad. I got no rights. And my shoes, my heritage was different. They're trying to make out I was in poverty and a Hori and a Maori, and I wasn't. I grew up at a predominantly Maori school, but they weren't Horis. They were, my school was very, very sensitive to culture of Māori people, and it built a marae so that they could get in touch with their own culture. And I now that I'm older, I believe it was quite a good move on Hillmorden, because really their culture is something that's dying, and these people are well adjusted. Most of my Maori friends in Christchurch have good jobs, so I just, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I just I think because government keeps, I don't know how it works, but they seem to be really stigmatising Maori in the public, and I think it's just kind of like they're sort of controlling their lives in a certain way, when it's really, it should be their culture, their life. It should have nothing to do with politics in some sort of sense. But because I think maybe New Zealand's trying to make up for the problems that they've caused, my school basically built a marae and had a cultural centre for them, and I think even in Burnside High, which is predominantly Asian, has a lot of Asian culture centres in there too. So this country is quite sensitive over people's cultural backgrounds, and I've also grown up around very liberal-minded people and people that were very much into education and seeing other people's cultures. So I've been very sensitive about other people's ways of life, and I've lost my way of life because of what they're doing. I'm being like a criminal on my own land. I'm not allowed to camp here apparently, and I'm camping, but it's illegal for me to camp because somebody else bought the land. But this is what I love to do. I love the land in this country. It's the thing that we have is the grass. You can sit on it and lie on it, and you can probably sleep outside, and you're not going to get abused. But in Australia, like this, it's full of ants that bite you, and you've got like snakes and stuff, and there's all these gangsters over there, and anyway, I'm asking. I can't access social support for 4 years. The police have all these excuses. They've basically erased my whole identity, and they're not letting me live anywhere or have connections to any of my culture. And I'm asking for some help. If you can ask for my help, that really I'm confused about why they just took me out of my business, this Annie, and erased my life. They were erasing all my beautiful photos to make sure I look like a dog. Like, they don't want me to go back to the beautiful girl that I was. They're trying to erase all these photos to make me branded as a dog, and it's abuse.